Stop you right there. Weren't those the same idiots that thought leeches were the cure to pneumonia?
The founding fathers were dumb as shit. Why do we keep using them as a benchmarker for what we should do as a society today?
We're talking about traditions and the founding fathers. And as the young men said, some of them don't stand up. Leeches? Probably not the best medicine. Although with today's healthcare, some people, that might be the only coverage they have.
These folks didn't have plumbing or toothpaste back then. They smelled like ass and onions, and you want me to listen to them on what my right should be?
Smell like ass and onions? I like that powerful argument. Then he kind of glossed over that his rights wouldn't be too great. Listen, the founding fathers had some great ideas. The problem was application, because the application was only to white males. Hear that, originalists? Clarence Thomas, Amy Barrett? It wouldn't have fared too well back in the day.
We didn't know fetal alcohol syndrome was a thing till like the 70s. So women could just drink while pregnant for like forever. If I'm not mistaken, fetal alcohol syndrome can like damage your brain, right?
Now, this is a young black man speaking up. So can we say back in the days of the founding fathers, this wouldn't have happened at all? By the way, he recorded a video. Now think back to the days of the founding fathers. Think back to the days of the 1700s or whatever. They persecuted and prosecuted people for magic. Do you know how much we do today that would be considered magic? We carry around devices that allow us to talk to people who aren't in the room. That's magic. Got a stake, gonna burn you. We have machines that fly. Are you kidding me? We control the flow of water. There's so many things we do just every day that would be magic back then. A black man recording a video in the days of the founding fathers, we'd have had a different Bill of Rights, wouldn't we?
And honestly, same thing goes for a lot of old school thinking. You want everybody to behave in a manner similar to the 50s, a time when everything had lead in it, so most people had brain damage.
I kind of like how this young man jumped from the days of the founding fathers to the 1950s. That's glossing over a lot. That's a hell of a jump, but you know what? He's not wrong. The 50s, once again, or maybe I should say still, not a great time for anyone but white males. If you were black in the 50s, you had to deal with segregation. You had to deal with a subservience built into society. You had horrible jobs, etc., etc. If you were a woman, even a white woman, you were definitely treated second class. Misogyny was rampant. You were expected to be barefoot and pregnant and keep your mouth shut. He did point out a couple of things that went on in the 50s that were pretty prevalent. Kids were eating lead-based painted toys. That couldn't have been good, right? Not even for white kids. Then you had mom drinking and smoking during pregnancy. It was normal back then. Cigarettes were encouraged. They told you cigarettes were good for you back in the 50s. As for minorities, I always say, listen, black people had it bad. Latino people didn't even exist. I think the only Latino we had in the 50s was Ricky, what was Ricky's name? Ricky Ricardo. How could I forget? We only had one and I forgot his name. I should be ashamed.
That's two methods of widespread brain damage that were very common back then. They were out here doing Kaioken multipliers of brain damage, and you want me to live by their values.
Now, I want to be clear about this because they're always saying that you progressives hate America, and I don't hate America. I love America. And the founding fathers, it was a different time. There was slavery. It was horrible. And there were a lot of other things that were horrible. But they had some great ideas within the Bill of Rights. Things like freedom of speech and freedom of religion. But I don't think they said freedom of speech with no responsibility. I don't think they meant freedom of religion to persecute and discriminate against others. It was a great idea. It still is. The right to bear arms for a well-regulated militia. We didn't have a military back then. That's why they said you needed a gun so they could call you up to fight when it was necessary. We kind of have an army right now, actually a really good one, and a Navy, and the Marines, and the Air Force. We even got Space Force to fight fantasy fights. But you don't need to take your AK to the grocery store. That's not what the founding fathers meant when they talked about cruel and unusual punishment. Maybe they didn't mean for the cops to be beating people and shooting people in the streets. And when it talked about states' rights, listen, they had a great idea to decide states' rights. A Supreme Court, but not a politicized right or left-wing Supreme Court, an actual Supreme Court that would be a balance of powers. Remember? 3 different divisions, executive, legislative, and judicial. The judicial keeping an eye on the other 2. That was a great idea. That's what they wanted. It's not what we got. So kudos to the young man for making the video, and let's not throw away all the rules, but let's make the Constitution a living document and move it forward. You know, we have like phones now. They wouldn't have known. The founding fathers couldn't handle Siri.